हे बारो करुणा करो वैष्णव गोसाई पतित पावना तोमा बिने के होनाई যাহারা নিকটে গেলে পাপ দূরে যায় এ মনা দয়ালা প্রভু কেবা কোঠা পায়ে গঙ্গারা পরাশা হলে পশতে পাবন দর্শনে পবিত্র করো এই তোমারা গো না হরি স্থানে अपराधे तारे हरि नाम तुम स्थाने अपराधे नहीं परित्राण तुम्हारा हृदय सदा गोविंद विश्राम गोविंद कोहि नामोरा वैष्णव परान प्रतिजन्य कोरी आशा चरणे राधुली नरोत्तमे कोरो दया अपनार बोली हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Translation. O Vaishnav Goswami, please be merciful to me now. There is no one except you who can purify the fallen souls. Where does anyone find such a merciful personality by whose mere audience all sins go far away? After bathing in the waters of the sacred Ganges many times, one becomes purified. But just by the sight of you, the fallen souls are purified. This is your great power. The holy name delivers one who has committed an offense to Lord Hari. But if one commits an offense to you, there is no means of deliverance. Your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govind. Lord Govinda says, the Vaishnavas are in my heart. I desire the dust of your holy feet in every birth I may take. Please consider Narottam yours and be kind upon him. So it's a prayer to the Vaishnav devotee that just by seeing the devotee, all our sins go away. If we come in contact with a pure devotee, if they see us, then there's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, a glance of a pure devotee. If he glances upon us, then we are purified. And bathing in the Ganges after so long, it can purify us. But just one moment of association with a pure devotee. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kar Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. A moment association with a pure devotee can purify us. Also, that verse was there by, I think of Vidura, right? Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani. Like the pure devotees are holy places of pilgrimage, personified. They carry the personality of Godhead within their heart, and they turn all places into places of pilgrimage. And Lord says that pure devotees are in my heart. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayatvaham. I don't know the next one. Mad anyate na janati na ham tebhyo managapi. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I don't know anything else but them. So if you hurt the heart of a devotee, then Krishna gets hurt. And it says over here, holy name can deliver those who have committed again offense against Lord, but Lord does not forgive those who have committed an offense towards his devotees. The devotees have to forgive. And yeah, so Narottam Das is saying, I desire the dust of your lotus feet, which also means mercy from the devotees. By we get their mercy by following the instructions. So as Prabhupada says, you already have my mercy. Now you just need to follow my instructions. Yes, Prabhu, you can add.
Yeah, nice. Said it all. So, okay. Anything else? Okay. Today, I think Srinivas is not joined. He usually speaks. Okay. All right. So,
Prabhu, I could not able to unmute for my mobile.
yeah.
Okay. Uh, I just wanted to have a better understanding on one sloka of 16th chapter, 23rd in Bhagavad Gita.
This is divine and demonic nature. I mean, the last verse, right? So,
Yeah, 23rd, yeah, 16, 23rd.
so he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination.
Huh.
So, if we act according to our own thought process and we think, we don't consider God's instructions, which are basically scriptures, and we think, I know it all and I will do what I like, then you will not be. You may be doing many sinful activities, and you will get misery, right? So
Right.
even if you do, like, if you don't understand what is the purpose of life, why I'm here, then also you will suffer. But if you
Right.
discard your relationship with God and just act independently, like
Okay. I, right, Prabhu.
hmm?
No, I was just trying to understand a bit in detail. Like, for example, in this, who attends neither this one, who discards the scriptural injunctions. Now, I think there are many sampradayas like Advaita, Dvaita, Shri, and then now this Gaudiya and all. So, let's say people can understand other sampradayas also while we do this, or how is that, Prabhu?
Yeah, there are four bona fide sampradayas, so any one sampradaya you can connect,
Okay,
and then you can follow that. Yeah.
okay,
Okay. So,
right, Prabhu.
all right. So, yeah, the verse you want to read.
Yeah. One can gradually become purified by seeing, touching, and worshipping temple deities, places of pilgrimage, and holy rivers, but one can attain the same result immediately simply by receiving the glance of exalted sages. So, when devotees come to give Hari Katha, we just sit in the Hari Katha and get their glance and will become purified.
Okay. So, we can read Bhagavatam. Let's see. So what is happening for this person who is going to Yamaraj? Jivatasyantarabhi yuddhara swagrider yam sadane sarpavrichiksha dansadyer dashadbhischatma vaishasham. His entrails are pulled out, means intestines like that, by the hounds and vultures of hell, even though he is still alive to see it, and is subject to torment by serpents, scorpions, gnats, and other creatures that bite him. So maybe he has a subtle body, and like there is, this sounds like there is a gross body, but in the subtle body there is, he's seeing how his, maybe a subtle body which is also made up of intestines and things, and they are being pulled out, and he's suffering the pain, but he's not dying. So, because if he dies, then he won't suffer the pain. Next, his limbs are lopped off and torn asunder by elephants. He is hurled down from hilltops, and he is also held captive either in water or in a cave. Okay, so he is thrown from hilltops, or he is in water, held captive. Men and women whose lives were built upon indulgence in illicit sex life are put into many kinds of miserable conditions in the hells known as Tamishra, Andha-Tamishra, and Raurav. Materialistic life is based on sex life. The existence of all materialistic people who are undergoing severe tribulation in the struggle for existence is based on sex. Therefore, in the Vedic civilization, sex life is allowed only in a restricted way. It is for the married couple and only for begetting children. But when sex life is indulged in for sense gratification, illegally and illicitly, both the man and woman await severe punishment in this world or after death. In this world, they are punished by virulent diseases like syphilis and gonorrhea. And in the next life, as we see in the passage of Srimad Bhagavatam, they are put into different kinds of hellish conditions of life, hellish conditions to suffer. In Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, illicit sex life is also very much condemned. And it is said that one who produces children by illicit sex life is sent to hell. It is confirmed here in the Bhagavatam that such offenders are put into hellish conditions of life in Tamishra, Andha-Tamishra, and Raurav. Okay, so before it was describing the meat eating, and now it is describing illicit sex life. Okay, Lord Kapila continued, "My dear mother, it is sometimes said that we experience hell or heaven on this planet. For hellish planets are sometimes visible on this planet also. Sometimes unbelievers do not accept the statements of scripture regarding hell. They disregard such authorized descriptions. Lord Kapila therefore confirms them by saying that these hellish conditions are also visible on this planet. It is not that they are only on the planet where Yamaraj lives. On the planet of Yamaraj, the sinful man is given the chance to practice living in the hellish conditions, which he will have to endure in the next life. Okay. So he is given, before he lives in hell on this planet, he is given, he is trained in the, or he is given suffering in the hellish planets, what suffering he is going to endure in next life. And then he is given the chance to take birth on another planet to continue his hellish life. So it doesn't end with punishment in the hellish planet. Very, very stringent For example, if a man is to be punished to remain in hell and eat stool and urine, then first of all, he practices such habits on the planet of Yamaraj and then is given a particular type of body, that of a hog, so that he can eat stool and think that he is enjoying life. It is stated previously that in any hellish condition, the conditioned soul thinks he is happy. Otherwise, it would not be possible for him to suffer hellish life. So, if somebody's next life is we are going to become a pig, then will be taken to Yamalok, and there will be made to eat stool and as Prabhupada says, stool, and then we'll be given a body like that. After the training, we'll be given the body of a pig. So now we will be accustomed to eating stool. So that is why we should take up Krishna consciousness. That saves us from going to hell and chanting of the holy name, bowing down before the Lord, circumambulating Tulsi Devi, offering lamb to Krishna. And it says the month of Damodar, so many sins of many lifetimes are wiped out. So many things. Correct?
Yes, and then should not repeat those sins.
And we should not think that, oh, I'm devotee now, so I will do the sins and then I nullify it with some devotional service. Then it doesn't work. So, like that. Okay. After leaving this body, the man who maintained himself and his family members by sinful activities suffers a hellish life, and his relatives suffer also. The mistake of modern civilization is that man does not believe in the next life. But whether he believes or not, the next life is there. And one has to suffer if one does not lead a responsible life in terms of injunctions of authoritative scriptures like the Vedas and Puranas. That's the Yah Shastra Vidimutsrija. Species lower than human beings are not responsible for their actions because they are made to act in a certain way. So animals are not responsible if they do any, because they don't have intelligence. But in developed life of human consciousness, if one is not responsible for his activities, then is sure to get a hellish life as described herein. He goes alone to the darkest regions of hell after quitting the present body, and the money he acquired by envying other living entities is the passage money with which he leaves this world. When a man earns money by unfair means and maintains his family and himself with that money, the money is enjoyed by many members of the family, but he alone goes to hell. A person who enjoys life by earning money or by envying another's life and who enjoys with family and friends will have to enjoy alone the resultant sinful reactions accrued from such violent and illicit life. For example, if a man secures some money by killing someone and with that money maintains his family, those who enjoy the black money earned by him are also partially responsible and are also sent to hell. But he who is the leader is especially punished. The result of material enjoyment is that one takes with him the sinful reaction only and not the money. So we take our karma with us. The money he earned is left in this world and he takes only the reaction. In this world also, if a person acquires some money by murdering someone, the family is not hanged. Although its members are sinfully contaminated. But if the man who commits the murder and maintains his family is hanged as a murderer, the direct offender is more responsible for sinful activities than the indirect enjoyer. The great learned scholar Chanakya Pandit says, therefore, that whatever one has in his possession had better be spent for the cause of Sat, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because one cannot take his possessions with him. So whatever money we have, we should, Prabhupada is saying, or Chanakya Pandit is saying, that we should spend it because we can't take it with us. They remain here and they will be lost. Either we leave the money or the money leaves us. But we will be separated. The best use of money, as long as it is within our possession, is to spend it to acquire Krishna consciousness and help others acquire Krishna consciousness. So that means that money can be spent for going to the yatra, to dham. That doesn't necessarily mean you will become Krishna conscious just by going to the dham, but going to, I don't know, it's like you go to the something that will enhance your Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Yeah, you can go with devotees to be in the association of devotees and hear from the sadhus in the holy places, like that. Okay. Many people come from Delhi to Vrindavan, but they're coming just as a picnic, like that. So that is also there. Of course, coming to the dham is very auspicious, but also helping build a temple is also auspicious, like that. So people will come to the temple and they will hear about Krishna. Sometimes devotees do Shastra Dan or Prasadam distribution. They sponsor Prasadam distribution, like that. So many ways we can use. Thus, by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maintainer of kinsmen is put into a hellish condition to suffer for his sinful activities, just like a man who has lost his wealth. Like a man who has lost his wealth. The example set here is that sinful person suffers just like a man who has lost his wealth. The human form of body, so man who has lost his wealth, he is suffering because all the money is lost. The human form of body is achieved by the conditioned soul after many, many births and is a very valuable asset. Instead of utilizing this life to get liberation, if one uses it simply for the purpose of maintaining a so-called family, and therefore performs foolish and unauthorized action, he is compared to a man who has lost his wealth and who upon losing it laments. When wealth is lost, there is no use lamenting, but as long as there is wealth, one has to utilize it properly and thereby gain eternal profit. It may be argued that when a man leaves his money earned by sinful activities, he also leaves his sinful activities here with his money. But it is and every endeavor is covered with some kind of fault. So in everything there is some anomaly. So that's why we are getting the karma. Krishna says, whatever we are doing in this material world, there is some fault. So to purify that fault in doing the activity, we use the result of the activity in Krishna's service. Yagnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Work should be done for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Because we incur karma, we are responsible for the. So, but it is mentioned, especially mentioned here, that by superior arrangement, Devena Saditam, although the man leaves behind his sinfully earned money, he carries the effects of it. When a man steals some money, if he is caught and agrees to return it, he is not freed from criminal punishment. By the law of the state, even though he returns the money, he has to undergo the punishment. Similarly, the money earned by a criminal process may be left by the man when dying. But by superior arrangement, he carries with him the effect and therefore he has to suffer hellish life. Okay. Therefore, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black methods certainly goes to the darkest region of hell, which is known as Andatamishra. Three words used in this verse are very significant. Kevalena means only by black methods. Keval means only. Adharmena means unrighteous or irreligious. And Kutumba Bharan means family maintenance. Maintaining one's family is certainly the duty of a householder, but one should be eager to earn his livelihood by the prescribed method as stated in the scriptures. In Bhagavad Gita, it is described that the Lord has divided the social system into four classifications of castes or varnas according to quality and work. Chaturvarnam Maya Shishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasha. Apart from Bhagavad Gita, in every society a man is known according to his quality and work. For example, when a man is constructing wooden furniture, he is called a carpenter. And a man who works with anvil and iron is called a blacksmith. Similarly, a man who is engaged in the medical or engineering fields has a particular duty and designation. All these human activities have been divided by the Supreme Lord into four varnas, namely Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. In Bhagavad Gita and in other Vedic literatures, the specific duties of the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra are mentioned. One should work honestly according to his qualification. He should not earn his livelihood unfairly by means for which he is not qualified. If a Brahmana who works as a priest so that he may enlighten his followers with spiritual way of life is not qualified as a priest, then he is cheating the public. One should not earn by such unfair means. The same is applicable to a Kshatriya or to a Vaishya. It is especially mentioned that the means of livelihood of those who are trying to advance in Krishna consciousness must be very fair and uncomplicated. Here it is mentioned that he who earns his livelihood by unfair means, Kevalena, is sent to the darkest hellish region. Otherwise, if one maintains his family by prescribed methods and honest means, there is no object to one's being a family man. Okay, so it's very difficult to maintain family at this age. So, having gone through all the miserable, hellish conditions and having passed in a regular order through the lowest forms of animal life prior to human birth, and having thus been purged of his sins, one is reborn again as a human being on this earth. Again, chance is given. So, we may have gone through all this hellish. Actually, we should think that we have gone through all this and now we have come again to the human form of life.
Yeah,
After,
but why does it say once purged of all his sins, being born as a human being? As a human being, we are also suffering from our previous sins, right? Even though we might have had animal births.
correct, yeah. Yeah, that is a good point because but you suffered, so some sins have been removed. I don't know if all sins were removed or not, but when you suffer, your bad karma is getting reduced. So, but whether you have become sinless or not, that's not that. It seems sounds like that. Having gone through all miserable and having passed in regular order through the rest of, and having thus been purged of his sins, one is reborn. And previously it said, right, that one is born even on this planet. Let's see if Prabhupada says something. Because we have our previous karma also. Just as a
But
prisoner who has a
Prabhu, maybe one point away from my side, I can say from the Mataji's question is, it can happen like we don't know in which cycle we are there, right? The past lives. My understanding is limited, but I was trying to connect in this way, like we are not sure in which junction of our path. So that could be the reason.
with junction.
Which means like maybe in the previous life we could have been done some sinful or to take a human body to suffer it, or sometimes even in the previous life we have some PS activities, and then accordingly we were there here. So many millions of the births where that cycle is there. So that way I was trying to correlate.
Okay.
Human birth also we get multiple times, like Prabhu is saying.
Yes.
So maybe we got purged of sins and we got a much better life, but then we again committed sins and then we are suffering. Yeah.
I mean, everything in this world is sinful. Even the pious activities are bad because they also, if you're pious activities, then you have to come here to enjoy. Again, you get a material body. But as soon as you get material body, there is death. So that verse is there, right? Dvaite.
দ্বৈত ভদ্রা ভদ্রা জ্ঞান মনোধন এই ভালায় মন্দায় সভ্রম.
So in like, Prabhupada says like wet stool and dry stool, which is better, right? It's stool only. So we are say like that, yeah, in prison it's a first class cell or third class cell. Of course, we like to have first class cell in the prison. Like the demigods, right? The heavenly planets, they have first class cell. They are enjoying so much. But they are still
Uh,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, you can go ahead. And I have a question after you finish.
No, I'm done.
So I have a question, Pravit. So is it the case that if someone is an atheist, that they will necessarily fall down from a human life, go to lower species in the next life? If they say they are atheists, they don't believe in God, but they don't really commit sinful activities. It may be a little hypothetical because if you don't have any sense of godliness, I don't know, maybe you may end up committing sinful activities. My question is that is it the case that atheists will necessarily fall down to lower species of life, or can just by the dint of their karma they can still remain on the human form of life?
I mean, you will not know what is right, what is wrong to do if you don't have any Shastra, right? Because you're not accepting, you're atheist, you don't accept any Shastra. So you may be doing the right thing, you may not be doing the right thing, or you may be doing the wrong thing and you're thinking it's the right thing. And yeah, if you don't acknowledge God, then you fall down. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. But falling down means you are saying whether they will go to hell or not.
Yeah, to lower species and worse to hell.
Yeah,
This question came up a few days ago that when in atheists, some people say that, but atheists, many atheists are they lead a very upright life. They may not even be eating meat. They may not be committing those sinful activities like illicit relationships or intoxication or meat eating, but they just don't believe in God. They don't follow Shastras. So I don't know if it's is it something like, if you're an atheist, the problem is it's hit or miss. You don't know what you're doing, as you're saying, and you may end up doing things going down. So it's better to stay on course and have a stand like something to follow, like have scriptural injunctions, rules to follow.
If you're using money for your own gratification and not, then also Prabhupada said, right, in this verse we read that it is illegal because it belongs to Krishna and like that. So even the sense gratification, you have taken somebody else's property and you are enjoying. So that is in itself sinful also. So of course you may say, well, yeah, he's not taking anybody else's property, but you have taken God's property. So let's see here, it was somewhere it's mentioned. And there is nobody like that who is this hypothetical situation, right? I mean, somebody
kind of hypothetical, but I mean, I would suppose there are people like that who are who are not
right,
like
what is if you don't
that is the problem. Yeah, that I can understand, that it's hit or miss. You may think, I'm doing very good, but actually you are ending up hurting the prospects of other people.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, but I know there are atheists who are vegetarian, and yes, they don't do it because it pleases the Lord or it is in the Shastras, but they do it out of their own concoction
but
of that.
Says, right, even if you're vegetarian, you're incurring sin, right?
Sins, yeah.
Yeah, what is that verse?
Kilbisha. Ye pachanti atma karana, that one, third chapter.
Yeah, how does it start? Yagna
Yajnasishtasino shanto muchyante sarva kilbisha bhujante te to agham papam ye pachanti atma karanat.
So even if you're eating vegetarian food, Krishna is saying that you're eating sin.
Hmm.
I mean, you may say, well, it's not sin. Yeah, it's okay. I'm eating vegetarian, but you are not, because you took a life, right? I mean, you took a life. Jivo jivasya jivanam. You cannot live without committing violence. And so, if your life is not dedicated to service in service of God, then you are responsible for that violence.
Okay. Yeah. So still, like, yeah, it's not, won't be clear that, whether they'll go down to hell, they may fall down to a lower species, or just suffer the reactions in a human body.
Yeah, so
Because, uh,
so because they're doing papa, so that's why, I don't know.
okay.
Agham papa, what is it? Bunjatitva, agham means great. So,
Greatly sinful.
yeah,
Agam Papa. Okay.
I don't know, like, only Krishna will decide who goes where and ultimately, yeah, so.
Okay. 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 Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so the next verse, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Karmana Deva Netrena, Jantur. Did we read the purport? I didn't read the purport. Just as a prisoner who has undergone troublesome prison life is set free again, the person who has always engaged in impious and mischievous activities put into hellish conditions. And when he has undergone different hellish lives, namely those of lower animals like cats, dogs, and hogs, by the gradual process of evolution, he again comes back as a human being. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that even though a person engaged in the practice of yoga system may not finish perfectly and may fall down from some reason or other, his next life as a human being is guaranteed. It is stated that such a person who has fallen from the path of yoga practice is given a chance in his next life to take birth in a very rich family or in a very pious family. It is interpreted that rich family refers to a big mercantile family because generally people who engage in trades and mercantile business are very rich. One who engaged in the process of self realization or connecting with the supreme absolute truth but fell short is allowed to take birth in such a rich family, or is allowed to take birth in the family of pious Brahmanas. Either way, he is guaranteed to appear in human society in his next life. It can be concluded that if someone is not willing to enter into hellish life, and who will be willing, as in Tamishra or Anta Tamishra, then he must take to the process of Krishna consciousness, which is the first class yoga system. But even if one is unable to attain complete Krishna consciousness in this life, he is guaranteed at least to take his next birth in a human family. He cannot be sent into a hellish condition. Krishna consciousness is the purest life, and it protects all human beings from gliding down to hell to take birth in the family of dogs or hogs. So Yamaraj also said, don't bring to me all these people who, that verse you were sharing other day, that those who are chanting the holy name.
But hellish life can also be there in a human being, right? On this planet, going through some disease or accident.
Yeah, that yeah. So if we have fallen down from the yoga practice, Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Prashta Pijayate. Krishna gives another chance. And somebody, yeah, so Krishna may give birth in a rich family. After a short practice, he goes to heavenly planets, then like that it's described. So basically, Prabhupada is saying if you want to save yourself from hellish condition, then take up Krishna consciousness. He's inspiring us to take up Krishna consciousness. And yeah, and Krishna, everybody in the material world is more or less sinful, right? I mean, who is there? Like Jesus Christ said, those who are only those who can, what is that, who can cast stone, something like that, on this lady, right? So some lady, what was the story?
She was a prostitute,
Uh-huh.
and
And
everybody was throwing stones at her.
so then he said, let those who have not committed a sin, they can throw stones, and like something like that. So everybody more or less we have done all kinds of activities, sinful activities. So we cannot be delivered otherwise from this. That's why, but there is a way out, and that is to take up Krishna consciousness. If you take up Krishna consciousness, serve Krishna, surrender to Krishna, then you are saved.
Yeah, and then as Prabhupada said to Bhakti Charu Maharaj, you go back to God, and in this one lifetime, you give this one life to Krishna. Because even if we get a human birth, right, we have to go through suffering. Even if we are born in a rich family or a family of devotees, there is a hellish kind of a suffering in this material world also.
Yeah, with disease and all this is very pleasant. And struggle, all the struggle, you keep struggling, but because you are in the influence of Maya, you are thinking this is nice, struggle is nice. And so, like the Prabhupada says, so everybody has to struggle in this material world. And sometimes our body gives problem, sometimes mind gives problem, natural disturbances. One something or other will go on in this life, something. Other people will give disturbance. Something is not right. Exactly, it doesn't work according to our desires. So, okay. So, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Karmana Deva Netrena Janturdeho Papattaye Striya Pravishta Udaram Pumsureta Kanashaya. This is how transmigration happens. The personality of God had sat under the supervision of the Supreme Lord, and according to the result of his work, living entity, the soul is made to enter into the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body. As stated in the last chapter, after suffering different kinds of hellish conditions, a man comes again to the human form of body. The same topic is continued in this chapter. In order to give a particular type of human form to a person who has already suffered hellish life, the soul is transferred to the semen of a man who is just suitable to become his father. During sexual intercourse, the soul is transferred through the semen of the father into the mother's womb in order to produce a particular type of body. This process is applicable to all embodied living entities, but it is especially mentioned for the man who was transferred to the Andha Tamishra hell. After suffering there, when he who has had many types of hellish bodies, like those of dogs and hogs, so that hellish body can be animal body on this planet, and dog and hog, which are dogs are eaten in Korea and hogs are eaten here. So unless you are a pet dog, so or any animal, so much. So that's like in this planet also we can suffer. So many animals are suffering terribly. Like those of dogs and hogs is to come again to the human form. He is given the chance to take his birth in the same type of body from which he degraded himself to hell. Is to come to again, is given the chance to take birth in the same. Okay, so from human body, he degraded himself to hell. Again, he is given the chance to come to the human body. Everything is done by the supervision. So we should very be afraid of all the karma. We should be afraid and then take shelter of the Supreme Personality of God. and engage in devotional service and surrender, then Krishna will wipe out aham tvam sarva papebhyo. He says, it doesn't matter what your past is. If you just surrender to me, I will. Prabhupada, that famous thing there, how much time it takes to become free from sinful reactions like that. Prabhupada says, one moment, he said. Video is there. Otherwise, on our own, we can't. I mean, there are heaps and heaps of karma in store for us. And they are fructifying, and we don't know when what will fructify. And like that. So, you can never become free. Sometimes people say, no, karma you have to suffer. No, Krishna can take away the karmas. Otherwise, we will, as long as you have karma, you will always be in the cycle of birth and death. So that means we can never get out. So that's not correct also. To say no, karma means you have to suffer. No, if you surrender to Krishna, then Krishna will take away karma. So everything is done by the supervision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Material nature supplies the body, but it does so under the direction of the Super Soul. And Krishna is very kind also. And all this suffering is there so that we can turn to Him. Krishna is not a cruel God who wants to just simply give us suffering. There is a purpose behind this suffering. The purpose is that we have to return back to Him. We have to, He is not happy, neither we are happy without Him, without connecting with Him. So, neither is Krishna happy, and Krishna is loving Father. So why would Father want that his child should suffer like that? But that suffering is also to ultimately for us to come to the point of loving Krishna. Yeah. Because that is our constitutional position. We may say, I am being forced to love Krishna by all these things Krishna is doing. I'm being forced. No, it is not force, but that is our constitutional. He is trying to tell us, you will never be happy without connecting with me in a loving relationship. That's what the message, underlying message is Krishna is trying to tell us. That's why He has created that situation. Dukhalayam asashvatam. So if we get that, then no more punishment. Because you learned your lesson. Till you learn your lesson, then there is punishment. You don't do your homework, then there is punishment. Again, you don't do your homework, there is punishment. But if you start doing your homework, there is no punishment. So, something like that. So for the devotees, then we think, well, why they are suffering? Well, Krishna takes their karma and I don't know why they suffer. We know it's to remove last vestiges of something. Krishna also, even if they don't have any karma, suffering is given by Krishna because they still have some lingering desires in their heart for material enjoyment. So Krishna says, okay, I will remove that last, some attachment that you have to this material world, that also I'll remove. And you'll become frustrated, and then sometimes He allows also. Yeah, He allows us to enjoy. But only for great souls who are they're almost pure, but 99% pure, and there is some lingering attachment. 1%, so that Krishna. And then other is to glorify the devotees, that how we have discussed this before, how in the suffering also they are so Krishna conscious, and the world can see that despite their suffering, they are so Krishna conscious and so determined to serve Krishna. So that's to glorify the devotee. Is there any other reason that why a devotee suffers?
I mean, if he's continuing to do sins, right, even while chanting the holy name, and So then committing offenses, that way also he suffers. Vaishnava Prad or any other.
So he's not like he's doing the sin, but he's not learned his lesson. So there
I
is
mean,
some
he's doing
suffering.
unfavorable activities also. So,
Yeah, Pratikul, yes, yeah, Pratikul activity. He's not given up unfavorable activities. So there is also sin there. I mean, yeah, so that to make him realize, ultimately to make him realize, everything is pushing us towards. And it may take lifetimes. If we are intelligent, we can learn fast. Of course, that intelligence also Krishna only gives, that intelligence in the heart. So, but if you are sincere, serious, and without ulterior motives, see, what is our role is that we can desire only. And our desires, Krishna is reciprocating with our desires. That's all. So,
yeah.
Maybe it externally it appears that devotees are suffering for others, but it's not necessarily that devotees are suffering, right? And also we can say that, I mean, I was thinking in different, like Prahlad Maharaj, I mean, did any Vaishnava Prad? That's why he suffered. I mean, it looks like that he went through so many tribulations by his father, but he was not suffering at all. He
he
was
was not suffering.
completely in bliss. Uh, Although it appears like that he went through many things, and also like if something like as a prarabdha, if something is there to go through with either the body, but body is suffering, and body, we are not this body, right? So the devotees even in this age also, through their mind, they are not even okay if something is there and is already there, but Krishna is given you something, that strength, that he is always there with the devotees during their suffering and during their difficult times. So if we talk to the devotees, they are actually not suffering with the problems, and externally it may appears for others that it's kind of suffering.
Yeah, that's a pure devotee. We have to come to that level, otherwise we feel if the body becomes sick, then we are not able to chant. So that means that we are not, at that level of a pure devotee.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhupada may like be able to dictate purports to Bhagavatam and like because he is in that transcendental consciousness. So devotees are also at different levels. So yeah, okay. And mind is the cause of suffering. Like that. So after suffering there, when he who has had many types of hellish bodies, okay, everything is done by the supervision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Material nature supplies the body, but it does so under the direction of the Super Soul. So Krishna decides. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that a living entity is wandering in this material world on a chariot made by material nature. Which verse is that? Said in Bhagavad Gita.
Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshya janitashti. Is that?
Correct, yeah. Brahma and Sarva Bhutani Yantra.
Yantra Rani Maya.
Chariot, Yantra, like that. The Supreme Lord, as the Super Soul, is always present with the individual soul. He directs material nature to supply a particular type of body to the individual soul according to the result of his work, and the material nature supplies it. Here, one word, Reta Karnashraya. Karna means particle, and Ashraya means to take shelter. Reta is the semen, so takes takes shelter as a particle. Is very significant because indicates that it is not the semen of the man that creates life within the womb of mother. Rather, the living entity, the soul, takes shelter in a particle of semen and is then pushed into the womb of a woman. Then the body develops. There is no possibility of creating a living entity without the presence of the soul simply by sexual intercourse. The materialistic theory that there is no soul and that a child is born simply by material combination of sperm and ovum is not very feasible. It is unacceptable. Okay, so because the soul is there, that's why the body is developing like that. Not that it is just coming from chemicals because the soul has taken shelter.
Yeah, but it also is mentioned that the how the mentality of the man and the woman at the time of conception determines the soul that comes to them, right? But here it says that it's already there in the semen of the father. Means, like the mother's side, it does not matter how what her mentality is, and it does not matter at the time of conception. Like for Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu was chanting Narayan at that time, and then devotee was born.
Yeah, so yeah, here it says like that, but maybe at that time the soul takes shelter in the, or it's previously taken shelter already. We don't know how it is. At that time it takes shelter in the particle of semen, or was it like previously? Yes, it seems like it was previously here.
It is in Bhagavad Gita also. Prabhupada says in one purport, right? The man eat grains.
Hmm.
Well, the living entity descends to the earth in the form of rain,
Hmm.
then takes on the form of grains, and the grains are eaten by a man that's transformed into semen. So,
Correct. Yeah, that is also so. Previously, he has taken shelter. If you go by that, then it's already like there, waiting to get a body. But yeah, so it is also I don't know. The, it seems like the man, but the woman's what is the mentality of the woman? You are saying that also matters. So that's also in that other way it progresses the mentality attracts. Yeah.
who's that? The mother of Hiranyakashipu, Aditi, right? She had a wrong mentality at the time of conception. So demons were born of her, even though her husband was Kashyap Muni was fine.
That's a yeah a good example that Kashyap Muni was there, but she had the wrong mentality. So yeah, we don't know how it is actually, but here it is. Whatever it says, what yeah. So there's Garbhadhan Sanskar and all this. Okay, now it describes how the child forms in the womb. On the first night, the sperm and ovum mix, and on the fifth night, the mixture ferments into a bubble. So it's a bubble, it's only a bubble. On the tenth night, it develops into a form like a plum. So it becomes more and more like concrete. And after that, it gradually turns into a lump of flesh or an egg, as the case may be. Like in Gandhari's case, right? She she was upset, right? What is that? She was upset because Kunti became pregnant before her. Something.
Correct. Yeah. I think her children were not coming out.
Hmm.
She was pregnant, but they were not coming out. So she, uh, like, on her stomach, she beat her stomach, and so a lump came out.
Hmm. And that lump was put into some pots and things like that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
who was this?
200.
Some sage gave it.
Vyasdev gave, not sure.
Yeah. So anyhow,
But in case of Kunti, Prabhuji, it's not she. Pandu has cursed, right? He can't be union with any woman, and
right.
as soon as he will, then he will die, and that's why he died with what was his second wife, Madhuri or something. Yes.
Madhuri.
Yeah.
Nah,
So she called like all the demigods, like right, and that's how the Pandavas born. So she she doesn't went through with this process, right? Uh, the Pandavas are in the womb, and then he take birth, because at the same time he was calling the demigods like Indra and Vayu, and that's how the Pandavas were born. Um, uh, so it's,
That is special case. This is
yeah.
see, yeah, that's
So there is not a point of saying that, oh, my the Pandavas, they came out first, and Gandhari. I mean, something is like puzzling for me, because if someone, she's calling to the demigods and she got the children's, the three of
no. I
Kunti
think the
and two.
eldest child would become the king, right? That was the thing.
Mm.
Yeah,
That
that was
so
his her
she will not
intention.
have her child if Yudhishthir was born first, right? So then her child will not become the king or something like that. So something was there. Gandhari was disturbed about, wasn't it? This something.
Yes, yes, the firstborn child will become the king. Yeah.
King. Yeah.
Yeah. So see, ultimately, it comes down to my child should become the king. Why others? So this is there, like even in the Satyavati and Parashar, right? Then Vyasdev was born, not Satya. Who was that? So Satyavati was then attracted to who? Who was Shantanu Maharaj, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then the father made so many conditions that, oh, you Shantanu, you already have a son, Bhishma. So then, because they wanted the child born of Shantanu and Satyavati to become the king. So father made the condition that, oh, she cannot marry. She will only marry if Bhishma does not accept. The Bhishma said, I will not become the king. But then, what if Bhishma has marriage and he has children? Then they will claim. So then Bhishma says, oh, I will not marry also. That's when Bhishma, very terrible vow of celibacy, being in the royal household. So like that, everybody is thinking about, okay, my man should be, my child should be on the top. That's why it's there. Janasya mohayam aham mameti. This is there. I and mine. So my child should be in there. Prabhupada would say like that. I'm just repeating, I'm not saying. Prabhupada would say that everybody is like thinking about their own thing or their extended family, and they want their people to be on the, so they are giving, yeah, all this preference. So it's all based on the bodily conception of life. So that, like Dhritarashtra also, why he wants his son to become the king? Because it's his son. He's very attached to his son becoming the king. He will enjoy if his son becomes the king. So that is all. Okay. This whole world is based on the bodily conception of life. Me and mine. Starting with, yeah, this is my, then it expands more, my community, my society, my family, my nation, like that. Because we need a sense of identification. So if we don't identify as being Krishna's, then we need to identify with something, that this is mine. And if you identify that I belong to Krishna, then you will see that everybody belongs to Krishna. But if you identify as belonging to some nation or some family, some community, then you will think the others also belong to this community, the others belong to this nation, because you are identifying like that. That's why you see others also like that. Atmavan manyate jagat. So, but if you are in the pure spiritual consciousness, then I am soul, I belong to Krishna, then you will see everybody is like that. Okay, we'll read one more verse, and then on the 10th night it develops into a form like a plum, and okay. So ultimately it becomes a lump of flesh or an egg, as the case may be. The body of the soul develops in 4 different ways according to different sources. So snakes lay eggs, right? One kind of body, that of the trees and plants, sprout. One kind of the body, that of trees and plants, sprouts from the earth. Second kind of body grows from perspiration. I think there is some Svedaja and something. There is some 4 things that our body develops from. So trees and plants, they don't exactly reproduce in the way that we reproduce, human beings. And then the second kind of body grows from perspiration, as with flies, germs, and bugs. Third kind of body develops from eggs. And the fourth develops from an embryo. This verse indicates that after the emulsification of the ovum and sperm, the body gradually develops either into a lump of flesh or into an egg, as the case may be. In case of birds, it develops into an egg, and in case of animals and human beings, it develops into a lump of flesh. So body is lump of flesh, like, and then how everything happens. What is the time? We can read Krishna book. So let's see. So Jambavan was fighting with Krishna, and Krishna was enjoying the mock fight. And in this way, Krishna was pleased. And then in this way, Jambavan served Krishna by fighting with him. Although he didn't know that he was. Then as soon as he pleased Krishna by fighting, then he understood. So as soon as we please Krishna by our devotional service, then Krishna will reveal himself to us. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. So by devotional service, if we please Krishna, then Krishna will reveal himself. Like in this world, if I will reveal myself to somebody who I know that person loves me. Then I will reveal my heart, my mind, because I know this person loves me. So Krishna also is. That same concept is there, that Krishna reveals to those who love him. Bhaktya mam vijanati. Only by bhakti can I be known. So, because why would he reveal? Because if you are not interested, then why would he? And because this person loves me, of course we may reveal our heart and everything. Because this person is my well-wisher. And so, even if I say whatever is in my heart, he will not take advantage or exploit me like that, because he loves me. So, like that. So,
Like that verse, right? Idam tu te guyatamam pravakshyami anashuyave Gyan Vigyanam Sahitam Yadganapa Mokshase Subhat. So Krishna is saying that I am revealing this most confidential knowledge to you because you're not envious of me. Right? So there we heard that one example that somebody comes to the bank and says how much money is there in the bank. The bank teller would not tell him because he's not qualified. But if the manager comes and he can get the money, he can know how much money is there because he has the right qualification.
correct. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Connection. Yeah. That anasuya way is like non-envious. And then in 4th chapter, it says, you are my friend, you are my devotee. Devotee means you love me. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam etaduttamam. Yeah, I'm telling you because you are my friend, you are non-envious. So, Krishna will reveal everything to those who love him. And that's why all the transcendental knowledge will come in the heart for such a person, Krishna. Because Krishna is sitting in the heart. And he can enlighten. Tesham evanukampartham aham ajnana jam tamaha nashyami atma bhavastu jnana deepena bhashvata. So I will, with the shining lamp of knowledge, I illuminate their hearts. Deepa of Jnana. So Prabhupada said, like, if you chant Hare Krishna nicely, also all answers will come from within. Like that. Krishna will guide you in the heart. Okay. My chair is okay. Alright, so Prabhupada says you can please Krishna by fighting also. Like Bhishma. Okay, so where are we? Let's see. But yeah, it's service. Service means according to Krishna's what Krishna wants me to do. That's service. That's service. So if Krishna wants me to fight, yes, I'll fight with him. Because that's service, it's service. Whatever pleases Krishna, and if I do that, that's service. Like if I want to serve you, that I will see what pleases you. And we have given the example that if I invite you to my house, I will try to find out what you like to eat. Let's say you don't like Karela, or you don't eat rice. Then if I invite you to my house and I cook rice and Karela, then you say, no, this I cannot eat. You don't do like that. You generally try to find out what. So Krishna is telling, yeah, this is what I like, this is what I like. He says, yeah, daya sarva bhuteshu santushtayena kenava indriya upashanti.
आत्मा इंद्रिय पुष्यन्ते च तुष्यते सर्व इंद्रिय पुष्यन्ते च तुष्यते आशुद्ध जनार्दन.
So like that, many things he's saying. Oh, such a person is very dear to me. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara sukha dukha kshami. Like that, in 12th chapter, he says, oh, such a person, such a devotee of mine is very dear. Means it's all about qualities. Such a person is very dear to me. Like that, he says. One who is non-envious, sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha, very friendly, merciful, like that. So by developing these qualities, those qualities will come by Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says, yeah, we become devotee of Krishna, then qualities will come, because that's our natural situation. In our pure situation, we are completely pure. So we have to just remove the dirt of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya by chanting, by devotional service. So Jambavan continued, my dear Lord, the time factor which combines all the physical elements is also your representative. You are the supreme time factor in which all creation takes place, is maintained, and is finally annihilated. So nobody can escape time. That's the thing. And time only is like, what you can say, dilapidating our energy or diminishing everything. So, and you can't stop time. Like, can you stop tomorrow? It's 23rd August. Can I say, no, tomorrow there'll be no 4th August? It's impossible. You can stop going to work, you can stop anything, but you can't stop time. So no matter where you are in this material world, that's why this is under the influence of time. Spiritual world is no influence of time. Time is there, but there is no influence like here, destructive effect. So with time we will all leave the world. So what's coming up is old age, disease and death for everybody. So knowing this, one should tremble in fear and take shelter of Krishna. And beyond the physical elements and time factor, the persons who manipulate the ingredients and advantage of creation are part and parcel of you. beyond the okay. The living entity is not therefore an independent creator. By studying all factors in the right perspective, one can see that you are the supreme controller and lord of everything. My dear Lord, I can therefore understand that you are the same supreme personality of Godhead whom I worship as Lord Ramchandra. And to think that nobody is in charge, it is all happening by chance. That is the atheistic conception. It all the conditions were right and things happened, but they don't accept that there is some person behind all this. So that's why science can make you atheistic because it's all happening, by chance. There is no person. I mean, or science has its limitations. You can't go to that person. So by studying science, it creates badha in the bhajan. Tumar bhajane badha. Because now you can explain everything in a scientific way and how the universe came about. There's some theory always. And never in that theory is that acceptance of a person who is intelligent. Because they will not accept until they see it. Science means it has to be perceivable by experimentation. So you can't see it, you can't prove it. So they don't accept. That's where we have to have faith that there is Krishna. Like Prabhu was saying, Radha Gopinath Prabhu was saying that Prabhupada was speaking to the GBC men, and so many times he was saying Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Now they have been all their big leaders in the movement, they have been few years in the movement. And Krishna Prabhupada is emphasizing so many times Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So yeah, because our tendency is to think that things are just happening randomly without any controller, and just that's what we learn in science, right? So, my dear Lord, I can therefore understand that you are the same supreme personality of God whom I worship as Lord Ramchandra. My Lord Ramchandra wanted to construct a bridge over the ocean, and I saw personally how the ocean became agitated simply by my Lord's glancing over it. So I think they all went to the ocean, Jambavan and everybody. So he saw personally how Lord Ramchandra, he was going to dry up the ocean. And when the whole ocean became agitated, the living entities like whales, alligators, and Timingala fish all became perturbed. The Timingala fish in the ocean can swallow big aquatics like whales in one gulp. In this way, the ocean was forced to give way and allow Ramchandra to cross the island to the island known as Lanka. The island is now said to be Ceylon. Lord Ramchandra's construction of a bridge over from the Cape Comorin to Ceylon is still well known to everyone. After the construction of the bridge, a fire was set all over the kingdom of Ravan. During the fight with Ravan, every part of his limbs was slashed to pieces by your sharp arrows, and his heads fell to the face of the earth. Now I can understand that you are none other than my Lord Ramchandra. No one else has such immeasurable strength, and no one else could defeat me in this way. So he came to some logical conclusion that I've been defeated, and by Krishna's grace. So you must be. Lord Krishna was satisfied by the prayers and statements of Jambavan, and to mitigate Jambavan's pain, he began to lightly rub the lotus palm of his hand all over Jambavan's body. So Krishna, maybe Jambavan was tired from fighting, so he's massaging or lightly rubbing. Thus Jambavan at once felt relief from the fatigue of the great fight. So Krishna's touch will feel relief from this material existence. Like you can touch Krishna with your tongue, and Prabhupada says like this, if you're chanting Hare Krishna, you'll feel relief from all the... Like one verse is there, that even if you're fallen, or Prabhupada says like that, if you're fallen from a roof and you're suffering in pain and you chant Hare Krishna, you will not feel that much pain. You can test it out. Prabhupada says that this chanting of Hare Krishna works. Like this Bhakti Raghav Maharaj, right? He was in the bomb blast in Mayapur, and his legs were like, everything was in blood. and he was chanting Hare Krishna, and he was saying, I was not feeling that pain. So this is practical, how if you chant Hare Krishna, but it's difficult to chant Hare Krishna in you're in pain. So anyway, Lord Krishna then addressed him as King Jambavan. Like that verse is there, what is the verse? Mad ashraya kathamrishta shrinvanti kathayanti cha tapanti vividastapa naitan madgata chetasa. Kapila Dev says, those who are absorbed in hearing and chanting about me, my delightful activities, then they will not suffer all the different kinds of austerities, or not austerity, but all the different kinds of tribulations. So that's the way in this world, because there is so many miseries. So we have to take shelter of Krishna and forget. Then we'll forget the miseries.
And as you said, most of the miseries are because of our mind, lamentation and hankering. So if you don't have any other material desires, only desires to serve Krishna, then there's no suffering.
Suffering is because of unfulfilled material desires. So, yeah, that is why we have to suffer. Okay. Or even if your material desire is fulfilled, then it becomes not so good after that also. So we have the three possibilities. Your desire may not be fulfilled, then you suffer. Your desire may be fulfilled, but then you have other desires which are not fulfilled, because it's like a never-ending flow, right? These desires are just not going to give us any relief. It's one after the other. It's like rivers flowing into the ocean. So, and then so other desires may not be fulfilled, or if this desire is fulfilled, then it's not exactly how I thought it was, or it may be the opposite. And then even if it's fulfilled, but it's only short-lived, because everything will, in a matter of decades, in a few years, everything will be like dismantled. So that also gives pain, because life was going on so nicely, and now my life is not going on nicely, because I have health issues and things like that. So that also, as Prabhupada says, person who has lost money, he's in great, because he has money and now he has lost it. So when you lose, then there is so much suffering. So Lord Krishna then addressed him as King Jamba. Yeah. Somebody want to say something?
No, I was saying, bro. So the only best way to connect with the Krishna consciousness, because as soon as we practicing in Krishna consciousness, then automatically the desires, the material desires, is the enjoying propensity and that mentality is getting down, right? And there's a verse, right? Nasti buddhira yuktasya na chayuktasya bhavana na chabhaveta shanti ashantasya
Ashantasya kuta
kutas.
sukham.
Yeah. So those who are not connected with Supreme in Krishna consciousness, they have no intelligence and not a steady mind, as Sugandha Mata is saying, because all the miseries is because of our mind. That's what the Avanti Brahmana was also saying. Nobody is responsible for our miseries except our mind. Because we see in our practical life also, our mind, there will be maybe a problems will be there always. We are in miserable place, but sometimes we magnifying our miseries also, and because of the magnification, we imagination, we exaggerate the problems more and more, and we become so fearful and really stressed out. So yeah, there will be, and in that state, in that disturbed mind, there will be no peace. So when we practice in Krishna consciousness, there will be a steady mind, and without that, we don't have, then only we can get peace. If the mind is disturbed, then there will be no possibility of peace. And if there is no peace, then there will be no happiness. So,
Yeah, that's mind thinks like if I get that, whatever I need, then I'll be very happy. Then when you get it, then it's a moving target. So steady mind, it's not there. So it's always something in the future we are expecting that happiness will come about in the future. So right now I'm not happy, but when I get what it's like the mirage, right? It just goes on and on. So so if something we want and if we don't get it, we should think it's good. Krishna didn't give it to me because I would have been more miserable if I got that. So if you want something and if it didn't you didn't get it, then you should think, yeah, it's Krishna's mercy because yeah, he saved me from so much trouble. But it's difficult to think like that because our intensity of desire is very strong. So, but yeah, we should depend on Krishna. And like sometimes somebody doesn't have a child, let's say, and they want a child very badly. And then the child has some problem, right? So then they wish, oh my, I was praying, but I wish I didn't have this child, because now I have to deal with this for my whole life. But yeah, it's whatever we are destined to get, we are going to get. So of course, karma can change with Krishna's mercy, but if something happens or something doesn't happen, we should just think it in a positive way as Krishna didn't give it to me. Like Sudama was thinking, like Srinivas Prabhu was saying. Sudama was thinking, yeah, he didn't give me anything. But that's good because if he would have given me, I would have been carried away. So Krishna knows he didn't give me. Of course, then when he went home, then everything was there. But his thinking was like that. Krishna didn't give. And if Krishna gives also, if I have some desire and Krishna gave, yeah, that also he is kind, so kind that he's fulfilling my desire. Whatever I want, he's giving me. So that's the mentality of a devotee. If something good happens, he says, I don't deserve it, but Krishna is so kind that he's giving me. Something bad happens, then Krishna is so kind that yeah, I deserved much. He prevented me from getting much more worse thing. I don't get it. So like that. It's difficult. Just speak all these things is easy, but to actually feel like that, it's difficult. Unless one is very surrendered to Krishna. Okay, so it's 8:33. I'll stop here. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much for your association.